Stupid camera. Just as I was trying to wrap up here. But anyways, yeah, the reason I do this, play around with these operating systems before their retail release, because I just, you know, first of all, that's just something with me. I love playing around with operating systems. Man, I'll tell you, a lot of you guys don't know this. I didn't get into the whole computer thing. I mean, I was there way back with pre-DOS days. Yeah, I was there with, you know, PET computers and VIC-20s and Commodore 64s, TI-99s, all that stuff like that. And back before there was GUIs and all that stuff, environments, multitasking. But I did not go through the whole DOS machine glory of DOS games and configuring IRQ conflicts and all that kind of stuff. I didn't ISA ports and all that fun stuff. A friend of mine did, and he was quite good at it. But, you know, he was really into the flight sims and military type games, things like that. So he loved it. He had a PC. During those years I had an Amiga. So I had, while everyone else was playing with DOS or basically amber screens, monochrome, bleeps and bloops for sounds, I was, you know, unless they had some serious PC hardware, otherwise known as the boring beige box of the time. You know, if they had a serious sound card and whatever was the current standard for the video card, and configuring all that stuff, playing around with it, but that didn't appeal to me. I saw my friend doing it, and I was like, oh God, that just seems so annoying. He spent half the day trying to configure his boards and software and all that stuff, and sometimes he'd have to remove some games so he'd have room for others, etc., etc. And that just didn't appeal to me, because I'd go home and slap a 3 1/4 inch auto booting floppy into my Amiga to be presented with a game, you know, thousands of colors, parallax scrolling backgrounds, and stereo sounds. So that's what I was into. And don't get me wrong, I'm not crapping all over the whole DOS, because the DOS history of games was incredible, and I emulate a lot of them now. I play, you know, a lot of things using DOSBox, etc., emulation and things like that. But for me, it was just simpler to just load an auto-booting floppy into my Amiga and have these glorious color games with stereo sound, etc. And I was getting so many cover discs and things like that, and trading software. trading something in my eye here, I don't know. Trading software with everybody. I pretty much had every title there was on the Amiga, so why buy expensive PC games at that time? I was young and having fun, and that was it. So yeah, I skipped through that whole DOS era generation, and basically got into Windows later on. But you know, even on the Amiga, I was emulating the Commodore 64, and operating systems. I had actually considered some of you know me, you'd be surprised, but I was actually considering a Mac. I mean, back in the days before I got into a PC, I was somewhere between the Amiga. I was weaning off of the Amiga and was kind of dreading getting involved in the PC world and the whole Windows thing, to be honest. I won't lie. But at the same time, you know, the Amiga had a uniqueness to it, a creative side. It had personality. A lot of people will agree to this. To me, and to me, also to me, Windows machines were just these machines that were boring and I don't know. I guess it belonged to the man. I used to think about stuff like that back then. I don't really care about that shit now. But so I had considered Mac. Mac, why? Because I think at that time it was all the candy-colored Macs. They were going with the whole think different advertising scheme. And, you know, I considered myself to be different than all, you know, the millions of people all doing the same thing. And I wanted to stand out, and I had a bit of a creative side and artistic side, not autistic, artistic, and and yeah, so I considered Mac because they seemed closer to what the Amiga was in spirit and in operation than what the PC was. And this was, of course, during the days of PowerPC architecture, and how they at least claimed that it was far superior to the x86 and the Intel CPUs, Microsoft CPUs, and Intel CPUs and stuff like that. But then there was this other side of it that I didn't want to get into again. And one thing, although I love the Amiga here in the US and Canada, it just didn't have the presence that it did in the UK market and overseas and support. So my experience all the time is, even if I could find a store downtown that had Amiga, it was in this dark corner, and they tried to talk you out of buying it, and they didn't really, when they did talk about the Amiga stuff, they didn't know a damn thing they were talking about. You know, I learned everything about Amiga by reading magazines, import magazines, Amiga Format, CU Amiga, all this stuff. But to me it was superior, so it was worth the effort. But I didn't want to go just coming off of a machine and platform that nobody understood, nobody supported, to just jump into another one. So I kind of knew that Windows was the widest foundation, the most support. If you had a problem in Windows, you could jump in, you could walk into any computer store and get support, have help, get answers. If you are online, you could, whatever, if you were in news groups and things like that, it almost seemed like it does today. Sometimes it seems like the whole world is on PCs. So I wanted the support this time. And that's why I went that route. Kind of, I always explained it as I kind of went kicking and screaming into the world of Windows, but there you are. And, but you know, during that time and even now, so I've learned it inside and out. So I don't have the problems that a lot of people complain. You know how it is. It's like, name a problem with Windows, right away you get someone saying, well, that's why you should be on a Mac. That's why you should get... That's not an answer, and that doesn't help. And contrary to popular belief, Macs do have problems. They do. Ask anyone who uses one. So anyway, I don't want to get into that whole debate here. But that's why I chose what I chose. And I've just stuck with it, and I don't have problems with operating systems. I figure stuff out. I either know it already, or I figure it out myself, or I know where to easily obtain help. So that's why I stick with Windows. And, you know, it works for me. That's where all my software is. That's where all my experience is. I'm not learning a whole new platform. So when a different revision of Windows comes out, now 7, 8, 10, I learn them all. I may not buy them all. I may not buy the latest version of Windows, but I will run it in a virtual environment, and I will get used to it. I won't bitch about it. I won't complain about it. I won't go on and on about the interface or whatever. I will just learn how to use it. And then by that time, at some point in the future, if I decide to install it myself, or I decide to buy a new machine that actually comes bundled with it automatically, I'm ready and ready to go. So that's why that's my long-winded and off-tangent explanation, going on and just rambling on why I like to play with operating systems and doing it in a virtual environment, which is of course safe and you have no problems. So that's it. That's this horribly long video that I just decided to record while I was doing this and show all you guys at the same time. So most of you know me. You're either interested and you enjoyed this video, or you stopped after 5 minutes, and whatever. That's all fine. It's all good. I don't care. All right. But I do appreciate those who do stick with me and watch me, and that's it. Raw Maximum RD out, and I will probably be talking in my groups and forums about what I think of Windows 10 as I experience it more. Okay, thanks a lot. Raw Maximum RD out. Bye-bye.